Okay, from Sahid here. Thank you, Sahid, for your question here. Okay, my question is about capital gains. I bought a house 20 years ago for 350,000 and lived in it for the first 2 years. I then let it out to move in with my partner, now wife. It's now 18 years later, and the property, according to some websites, is now worth approx 650,000. Capital gains tax would be approximately 300,000. If we use it as our main home for a couple of years, modernize it, plus add an extension, new kitchen, etc., is the value would increase significantly to achieve 750,000 or more. An estate agent has said this. My question is, would the 100,000 extra as a result of the renovations also be subject to capital gains? All right, Sahid, thank you for the question. Sounds like you've done all right there on that property, which is great news. Sign of the times with the way the market's gone, particularly over 20 years of time there as well. So just to clarify, Sahid, I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not giving you any kind of financial advice here, just in case somebody decides to misinterpret what I'm saying, take action, and then get it wrong and try to sue me. But what I will say is that on your what's known as your principal primary residence, i.e. the main place of where you live, there should not be any capital gains tax payable on that at this moment in time. Now, obviously, you've got a different living situation where you're living in another property at the moment, and this property is not your principal primary residence, but you are talking about moving in. So let's say you're in a position where you're looking at maybe selling the property you're in at the moment, which I think, as you said, is your now wife's property. Maybe you were to sell that because you've lived in there for a long time, 18 plus years. It's your principal primary residence. You could sell that one without any taxable liability, as far as I'm aware. And then you could move into this property and decide to live there whilst you decide to do your renovation works and your extension and all the rest of it. Now, because you are nominating that as your principal primary residence and you're treating it as your principal primary residence, i.e. you're living there, your post's going there, all your friends and family come around for dinner there and all the rest of it, then as far as I'm aware, you should be able to claim exemption from any capital gains tax entirely on the entire value of that property. Okay. Now, as I say, you're going to need to consult a tax advisor, not an accountant, on this one. But it's worth asking the question because obviously your savings could add up significantly on this particular property. And this is actually something that happened to when I first got started in property investing. My first property mentor was a lady called Jill Fielding. She's actually been on the Secret Millionaire program, I should say. And she's a very, very smart cookie. Chartered accountant as well as a property investor, and she actually did this with her one of her principal primary residences. It was a flip. She'd bought a property, moved into it, lived there for a couple of years, did it up, made an absolute fortune on it, and there was no CGT to pay for her when she went through that. But what I am going to say, I'm going to caveat what I've said here, and just be very careful, because what you don't want to do is do this on a regular basis. I have heard and known of instances where, for example, a builder has bought a piece of land, they built a house, they lived in it for 2 years, then sold it on. And they bought a piece of land, built a house, lived in it for 2 years, moved on, etc., etc. And he did that for 5 properties over the course of about a decade. And then what happened? The revenue caught up with him and then said, obviously, it's clearly you're doing this as a business, not just as a place to live. And they then went after him as a bit of a tax dodger and says, you owe us, capital gains on the property you've just sold and on all the other ones as well. Okay, so that was an accountant who shared that story with me a few years ago, and I just want you to be aware of that. That if you're doing it as a one-off, there shouldn't be any problems. And as I say, you're doing it as your principal primary residence, and it's your sole place of residence. So yeah, just be careful about nominating that. It might be worth conversations with tax advisors and tax planners for, if there's inheritance tax liability or capital gains tax liability, or potentially both here in this sort of a situation. It might be worth looking at that, Sahid. So with all of these sorts of things, it's best to plan in advance rather than waiting for an event to happen and then think, oh my goodness, how am I going to solve this? By then it might be too late. Okay. So hope that's been of some use to you, Sahid. Wish you all the best of luck with that. Could be a really exciting project for you, and could make all the world a difference to your circumstances as well. So good luck with that. So please send me your questions next week or for next week's webinar. get them through to us on the email address happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk, or you can go to the WiggyWam website, which is wiggywam.co.uk, which is WIGGYWAM.co.uk, and you can find in the sort of weekly Get Your Property Questions Answered webinar. And we're going to post updates on that on the site, and you can drop your questions into there, or you can tweet us at WiggyWam UK on Twitter, and we'll gladly take those questions in as well. So thanks for joining me, guys and girls. Really enjoyed it again this week. Hopefully, as I say, we'll be live next week from the new digs, and it's going to be pretty exciting seeing how we move an entire house and get the office set up in time for that. So wish me luck, and I wish you all an amazing week, guys and girls. Have a great time, and let me know if I can help you in your property journey. All right, see you very soon. Take care, guys. Bye.